Welcome or welcome back to Pewdiepie. I'm Zui and I hope you enjoyed today's video. But before we get right into it, I'm obligated to remind you to click either the like or dislike button, commenting something down below, and of course sharing the video so more people can see and enjoy it. This is very important as it helps with the YouTube algorithm. I want you to know that your help is greatly appreciated. If you have any suggestions or ideas for a story, my Discord link is in my link tree that is down in the description, as well as my Patreon and Ko-fi for any donations you may want to send my way. Every cent counts. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed today's video. The eternal night. A strange weather phenomena that started appearing 5 years ago. The cause of which had been traced back to a villain going by the name the Duke of Flies, an incredibly powerful reality warper, who boosted the power of his quirk with enhancers until under the weight of his own superpower caused him to violently explode. The Eternal Night is a remnant of that explosion. An impossibly large cloud of pure darkness that floated across the globe. A never-ending reminder to the damage caused by both quirk and man. The black smoke traveled across the horizon quite fast. Most of the time was floating over the ocean, disrupting flights and any ships caught in its foreboding grasp. It was only thanks to the vigilant efforts of the Global Defense Effort, a European military organization, that this crisis had been studied and normalized. They even modified multiple weather stations in the GDE-controlled territories to predict where the cloud would move next, so people were able to be warned in time to cancel any activity in the air. As despite the cloud being exactly that, a mere cloud, its impossible thickness made it hard to navigate through it if a plane was caught within it. Its impossible thickness made navigation within practically impossible, as things such as compasses began to immediately fail. The Eternal Night only rarely moved across land. Such events were called landfalls, and mostly happened in the northern and eastern hemisphere. This meant, however, that these landfall events would occur at least once every year for Japan. Many people feared the Eternal Night, especially superstitious types. However, there was a certain subgroup of people who absolutely loved the Eternal Night. And those were people suffering from a certain mutation quirk. The so-called Akumas, or demons, as they were more commonly referred to, especially by the German GDE. A demon was a person suffering from a new type of mutation quirk. It was widely known that quirk users had small deformities in their bodies to simplify their function in exchange for a more powerful quirk. The unfortunate demons had powerful abilities. Most of them could naturally fly, be it with wings, telekinetic abilities, or by simply turning themselves lighter than air. But in return, they were all suffering from extreme photodermatosis, more commonly referred to as an allergy to sunlight. Should an Akuma be exposed to sunlight, it would quickly cause pain, swelling, redness, chills and nausea. In the worst cases, the skin could become necrotic and require expensive surgeries. The Eternal Night therefore gave the Akumas the opportunity to live among the regular people, at least for a time. You too were an Akuma, and were attending the famous hero school UA. Your quirk was called Enhanced Clairvoyance. It allowed you to see things out of the perspective of other people. This meant if you used it to full potential, you could not only spy on people by seeing the world through their eyes, but also you were able to copy anyone's quirk, whose mind you were currently connected to. Its only limitation was mutation quirks didn't apply. And if you placed your quirk only on one of your eyes, not only could you fight normally, but also had a quirk to fight with. But it was very disorienting. Today had been the first day of the Eternal Night, and therefore the first time you could step outside your dorm room without a specially made suit created by the GDE for Akumas, so they could attend normal daily life without the sun destroying their skin and bodies. Best of all, this Eternal Night would last for 15 days, until the cloud would move back to the sea. This meant that Halloween would be shrouded entirely in darkness, as the titular holiday would be tomorrow. Most of your classmates knew how you looked like already, thanks to you taking the suit off after dark. But some of the boys did not. So it came to a decent surprise to them, seeing you without it. However, the reaction that surprised you the most was your classmate Bakugou's. He had arrived a little late, so already everyone was seated. Your homeroom teacher Aizawa was right behind him. The explosive blonde first looked at you dumbfounded, clearly too proud to ask whether or not you were a transfer. Meanwhile, you were just excited to be outside. The environmental suit you wore normally covered every little bit of skin you had. You inhaled the smell of the classroom, the smell of papers and chalk. Not to mention this felt so freeing. You really enjoyed this. The environment suits for Akumas came in 3 variations. One was for heroes and police. These were customized and had enhanced usage for quirk users. Also, they were armored. Second were skin suits. They were incredibly tight, especially around the hip and shoulder areas. You were meant to wear them under regular clothes. They were preferred by women because of that. The third ones were more bulky and rough. They were preferred by men who weren't interested in giving any fashion statements. Sadly though, due to UA's uniform dress code, you and any other Akuma were forced into the tight ones, to wear the uniform over it. You enjoyed being out of the suit, sitting more comfy than usual. Honestly, it was almost difficult to pay attention to class like this, without your tight body prison. As the clock ticked and ticked, you suddenly realized that almost the entire day Bakugou had been staring at you. Did you do something wrong? It wasn't until the lunch bell rang that he jumped up and immediately beelined towards you. He got up to your face even before your own friends did, to join them. To ask you to join them at the lunch table. Normally you could muster opening up the glass window of your environmental suit. Normally in the cafeteria you could muster opening up the glass window of your environment suit to take a single bite. "Hey," he barked. "Hey?" you said back. Honestly, Bakugou intimidated you. You had clashed during the sports festival, having fought him right before your friend Uraraka did. The blonde had shown no mercy, and at the time you weren't fully able to adjust to his explosion quirk, so you damaged yourself more than him. Since then you had been a little scared of him. "Would you like to eat with me today?" he asked straight up. In his right hand was a white plastic bag with something square-shaped inside of it.
"Seriously?" shouted a slimy voice behind you.
Stop hogging all the babes, Bakugou. The two of you turned to the small goblin creature that was the class pervert Minoru Mineta. Katsuki gave him a death glare, while you helplessly smiled. In an attempt to diffuse the situation, no pun intended, you simply said, "Early bird gets the worm, Mineta." Returning your attention to Bakugou, you quickly said, "Sure, I'd be happy to." You stood up, leaving the gremlin behind, seething with anger. He too wanted to ask you out. Right now, you and all other Akuma were the talk of the school due to the surrounding darkness. However, as you followed Bakugou, you quickly realized that he wasn't going for the cafeteria. He was heading up, towards the roof. You blushed a little. The roof during lunch was very private. Only a few couples went up there. Essentially, going up to the rooftop was a silent invitation for a date. As the two of you stepped outside, he immediately sat down on a nearby bench. A little confused, you followed. He placed the bag on his lap and offered you a small box out of it. "Wait," you said in disbelief. "Bento?"
What else were you supposed to eat?
You blushed and took the box. "I just didn't think... Have you been planning this?" He shrugged.
Ever since the newscast said the weather would be like this.
You gulped. But why?" Bakugou hummed, deep in thought.
I guess, because I had a dream.
You raised an eyebrow in confusion as you opened the box. The bento was cold, understandable. You suppressed a chuckle. It was very basic. Some rice, cooked salmon, vegetables. But it didn't look store-bought. You could tell by the salmon. It had a few too many black little crispies hanging on it that could only come from home-cooking pans. You opened your mouth a little. And instead of asking what to dream, all your brain could muster was, "Wait, did you make this?" You were too much of a glutton, weren't you? Immediately distracted by food. You knew Bakugou was a good cook, so this was definitely going to taste great at least.
"Yeah, of course,"
he said, voice sounding a little confused and offended, as if he would buy cheap garbage for an opportunity like this. "But why? I don't understand."
"As I said, I had a dream. Of you. And I kept having it. No matter what I tried. Listening to audiobooks before bed, scented candles, scented oils, taking baths, taking no baths. Well, all that just led to the bed being stinky, so I switched the sheets immediately the next day."
You blinked. Right. Very honest of you, Katsuki.
Anyways, I came to realization that I have a crush on you.
Your lips twitched and perked into a full-on smile seconds later. Really? You never had a guy confess a crush to you before?
I want to do the first one to get your attention. I just wanted to sleep normally again, without waking up feeling like that.
You smirked. Feel like what? He looked up at the black void that was the sky.
Warm and fuzzy.
What did we do in your dream? You sighed as you was contemplating his life choices. You began to dig into your food. Despite you preferring your rice warm, this was actually really good. The fish wasn't dry and perfectly seasoned. The vegetables soft and tasty. And the rice? It was delicious. What the hell did you do to the rice? It was just plain goddamn rice. Your hands shivered a bit. It was hard not to just be a glutton and shovel the entire thing in your mouth.
You bit me,
he said suddenly between bites. Wait, what?
In the dream, we were fighting. It's the tournament again, and I break your helmet. And then, like an animal, you just bite my neck.
Like a vampire?
I know it's offensive to you Akumas to assert that, but, you know.
It's fine, I'm cool with that, you said. The V word is only offensive on the internet these days.
Right. Anyways, you bit me and started sucking. And I feel my blood leaving my body.
And I hear this pleasant noise of you swallowing and sucking and all that. You gulp down a big piece of the salmon. And let me guess, you got off to it.
Why do you always have to be so blunt?
You chuckled. Excuse me. You cleared your throat for a little joke.
But, Bakugou Oni-chan,
you said in a squeaky voice.
I would never suck you dry like that.
He snorted.
Nah, I didn't get off to it, I promise.
Normally being made fun of like this would fill him with rage. He made his feelings for you responsible for not doing that.
The dream ends with you covered in my blood, being declared the victor, and I just lie there, feeling cold, but I can't stop feeling happy and smiling.
It's both creepy and cute, Bakugou, you admitted.
Right. So, how do you feel? About me, I mean.
You smiled in response as you put the rest of the salmon in your mouth. Slowly you chewed as you thought about your next words. Truthfully, you wouldn't mind having a boyfriend. But for some reason, him asking you only after you were out of that all-covering suit, it hit you the wrong way, as he was only after your body. And as if reading your mind, he suddenly said,
I wanna know why I waited until now to confess.
You turned your head to look at him.
I wanted to give you food. I wanted to be private. I mean, look, there's no one here. And due to the eternal night, it's all still, quiet. Makes it easier to talk.
That's right, you thought.
Not to mention it would be rude to invite you to eat with me in a very sunny place. I'd end up just eating on my own while you are hungry. And sweating and all that equipment. Honestly, I'm glad I'm the first to have that idea. See, the guys are discussing to ask... They're discussing ask-out plans. And I would hate myself wasting this opportunity. And then have Kirishima ask you out before me. In just a few days.
You chuckled. You guys are competitive, aren't you?
We are. Actually, Mineta wanted to ask out Momo during the Eternal Night this year. Hoping she's afraid of the dark.
Oh god, that's so Mineta.
But yeah, The boy stopped talking for a moment. I'd like to date. You blushed a little. We'd be the first couple of our class. Yeah, we would. We'd be the role model of the others. You know, let's be like Bakugou and his little vampire. Huh. Your blush turned into a cheeky, almost devilish grin. Let's make it so we stay that way. Now you had his attention. Oh, I'm listening. You chuckled. I know you always want to be the number one, right? Then let's make sure we are the best couple on campus. You leaned against his shoulder, wanting to make sure you gained as much power as possible during your upcoming relationship. So you began sowing your seeds. Imagine how the other girls would practically die of jealousy when they see me walk around with you in your arms. None of the girls were interested in him. And how the guys will try to copy you as much as possible just in the hopes of getting a girl themselves, because clearly you're doing something right. That was a lie too, as Izuku Midoriya, a boy in your class, clearly had a thing going for your friend Oraka. The two really only needed one more push and it would happen. Same with the punk girl Jiro and Mineta's best friend Tenki Kaminari. Maybe that was another reason Bakugou was so eager for this meeting to go perfect. Yeah, sounds good. Really good. I like that. You have something devious about you. I find that really charming. Excellent. You pulled out your phone. Here, I give you my number. Save it as something cute. You watched as he presented his own phone, typing in your number with the name Rooftop Succubus. You smiled, and in response you said, "If there wasn't food on my lap, I would right now pounce on you for that." He laughed loudly. And do what? Bite me? I mean, make out with you. Pervert. Now he was the one to blush. And with an almost robotic movement, he took his bento box and placed it next to him. Snorting, you just shoveled the rest of your food in your mouth and threw the box on the side, before climbing onto his lap. He wrapped his arms around your hips. Katsuki exhaled excitedly. You warm? Is that a joke about my nature? Not a joke. Just an observation. Oh, I give you observation, you growled, as you pulled at the sleeve of his shirt, revealing his neck and shoulder to you. He exhaled sharply. I'm about to fulfill that little dream of yours. Happy? Happy as can be. He huffed excitedly. You lowered your head. Thankfully, all Akumas had sharp teeth. So first, you scraped them against his rough skin, making him shiver excitedly. You could feel his heart pound just under your teeth, before slowly sinking them down into his flesh. You never drank any blood before, admittedly. Up until you embraced it, you hated being called a vampire. A slimy noise suddenly came from between your teeth as you finally drew blood. Bakugou hissed, biting his lower lip. Katsuki's blood tasted metallic and a little bit salty. Like stale butter. It was warm and viscous. Gross, but if you wanted you to do this in the future again, you'd bear it. After all, it was a little romantic, wasn't it? You just made sure to gulp as fast as possible so it wouldn't sit on your tongue for too long. Bakugou moaned. Clearly he was enjoying this. Thankfully you ate that bento. After this, you'd be unable to get anything down your throat. Eventually, Bakugou petted your back. That's enough, he hushed. You pulled back, mouth covered in his red liquid. You really are into this, aren't you? I guess. Maybe I'm just going with the vibe. You exhaled. Just don't overdo this, please. To be honest, I just wanted to experiment. The two of you looked up at the dark cloud. Let's have a day tomorrow, on Halloween. And I promise, no weird stuff. You smirked, while using a tissue to wipe away his blood. Sure, but no neck biting. I'll promise. I'll only ask once a week. You're a creep, Bakugou. I like that.